So one thing that comes up a lot with patients in conversation is the subject of barefoot training, particularly barefoot running. It's been something that's been around for a number of years, has become kind of popular lately. And a lot of times I'll have patients ask me, what do you think about barefoot running? Can I do barefoot running? And my answer to that is usually a little bit more detailed than a yes or no. And I bring it up just because I feel extremely passionate about integrating feet and foot posture into overall care for your patient in treating the whole patient. So I'm going to use the analogy or the topic of barefoot running to get into this, and then kind of talk about how it fits into treating your patients properly, and treating their whole body with regards to whether they have knee pain or hip pain or back pain or whatever it may be. So if somebody comes to me and they say, what do you think about barefoot running? My answer is, it depends. It depends on what your foot looks like. It depends on how well you're able to support yourself on your feet. That ability is in question sometimes. We as people, as humans, lose that ability. We have the ability to control our feet. We have the ability to control the posture and position of our feet, just like we have the ability to control and move all the digits on our hands and the palms of our hands. But imagine for a second if you didn't think about using your hands all the time. Maybe somebody put mittens on you when you were just a little kid. Say you're a year old, 2 years old. You lived 20, 30 years of your life or more with these mittens on your hands, right? Well, it's kind of what we do to our feet. We wrap them up in shoes and we walk around like that for the vast majority of our time during the day. So if you took that person who had mittens on their hands and 20, 30 years later you take a mitten off and you give them a pen and ask them to write their name, well, there's a good chance they're not going to be able to control their fingers enough to do that. They're not going to be able to use their hand to its full potential. We don't use our feet to our full potential because we have them in shoes all the time. Same exact situation. You have your foot wrapped up in a shoe. You're not going to be able to have the dexterity, the control to be able to use your foot properly. So I'm going to take that patient who asks me what do I think about barefoot running, and I'm going to look at their foot and their ability to control their foot, right? Do they have their full potential? Are they capable of their foot's full potential, even just in positioning their foot or being aware of where it is? If not, I'm going to teach them. I'm going to teach them how to control their foot. I'm going to teach them that their fingers move like this in the analogy of the mitten. Teach them how to position their foot and what different things their foot can do. Then I'm going to strengthen them and get them stronger in those positions so that they can go from standing in that position to raising up on their toes in that position, maybe doing lunges and other exercises in those positions, but helping them understand that they need to control their foot properly so that they have a foot that they can run off of, right? Well, that's the analogy for running, or that's the story with running, but this comes into play with caring for your patients in general, because that capacity to be able to get the full potential out of your foot has huge implications all the way up the mechanics of your knee and your hip and your back, right? If you're not positioning your foot properly, there's no way that you're getting the most out of your knee and your hip and your back. We have plenty of evidence that shows muscles around the legs, hips, even the core are more active. You get the best out of them when your foot's in proper position. You can contract them more effectively. So if I don't give my patient that, if I don't look at their feet, but I train the other aspects, whether they're in there for their knee or their hip or their back or whatever it may be, if I train those parts, they have hip pain and I strengthen their hip, they have back pain and I strengthen their core or whatever else I'm strengthening around that area, but I haven't taught them how to use their feet properly, it's like giving them a car with no wheels on it. It's like giving them a car with an engine and it's beautiful on the inside and it looks great on the outside, but you can't move it. You don't have the wheels to move that car properly. And that's what your feet are. They're the interface with the ground that support us properly so that we can get good contraction of the functional units above, right? So I incorporate that into my care to get my patients moving properly. And I believe that's an integral part to what we should be doing as we treat our patients. And I look at that, I look at my patient's whole structure, including their feet. And that's my point, that's where I come across. We gotta be able to build a sound foundation from your feet to be able to have your hips function properly, your knees function properly, your back function properly. So don't let yourself believe that just treating your feet, training someone to control their feet is only for people with foot pain. That may not be true. You may need to be looking at the foot, get the most out of your foot, get the potential out of your foot so that your knee can get better, so your hip can get better, your back can get better, and you're working from a sound foundation all the way up.